Hello and welcome to Odds Champions League semi-final, second leg, one step away from the final, and everything is very open. Guys, PSG Arsenal, of course PSG favorites, and Inter Barcelona, everything could happen, so I'm looking forward to listening to Alain Valnegri, to 𝗀𝗵𝗀𝗀 to know your tips, guys. So also remember to press the like, subscribe, let me know in the comments who do you think are gonna play the great final in Munich. And now let's go on with the show. Well, and we start in San Siro on Tuesday. We have Inter Barcelona. Despite the 3-all in Montjuic, the bookies are still trusting Barcelona to win in San Siro is 2.2. Inter, Alain, they are the underdog and they showed great character in Montjuic. It was a different team from the one we are seeing in Serie A. Inzaghi, of course, put the whole team on the bench in the games against Verona. Also, Flick did the same against Valladolid. But perhaps we should look at this game much more balanced than what the odds are showing us, or do you also see Barcelona favorite?
Yes, I think Inter is a really strong team and really difficult to move. Now, Inter, what happened in the last months is the biggest question. I think, in my opinion, Inter signed Inzaghi in the bench in Milano depend of one factor, and this factor is the grade of motivation of this team. And when this team is motivated, when the team is focus on the game, have the skills to change a register during the game, Inter is one of the strongest teams in Europe. Now, in the last months, I think the grade of motivation in Italy go down because the team have an obsession, and the obsession called Champions League for this team. And we saw that in Montjuic because we don't saw the Inter about the last month in Italian competition. Remember, they practically lose the Serie A and then go out in Coppa Italia against Milan. And a derby in Milano is always a derby. But the Champions is a special fascination and is the only trophy this team don't win with Inzaghi in the bench. Now, since the beginning of the competition, is the best defense of the Champions League. Now, against Verona, one of the good factor about Inter, in spite of the turnover, in my opinion, is Inter go back to have a clean sheet in a game. And it was amongst 6 weeks without a clean sheet. The last was a Bergamo at the middle of March. Against Barcelona is an opposition of style. Barca must to attack in this game. We saw when Barca play with the high defensive line, Barca suffer against team like Inter. Dumfries is in Disney World against the defense like that, because he can run, he can attack the space, he can attack the goal, and it's not so common to saw a team score 2 goals, a defender score 2 goals in a Champions League semi-final, because Barcelona play with that type of the highest of the line. Now Barcelona can play with a low block. I don't think so. And for that sake, I think Inter don't will lose this game. I choose the double chance. Inter Barcelona 1x odds 1.70.
Well, Leo, and seeing, of course, the first leg, we should expect goals, I guess. We are seeing this Barca's Flick always attacking, no matter how, and I don't think they are going to play with the result or wait for the second half of the game, but they are going to attack. And, of course, there is one name that we should put on the table, is Lamine Yamal. Everyone was talking about him after the game. Even Simone Inzaghi was astonished by the level of the teenager.
Yeah, how not to be, Edu? I mean, it would have been an unbelievable performance for any player, let alone 17 years old. You need to go back probably to Pelé to find such an impact in world football at such an early age. I mean, is without saying that Lamine even scored in the Euro semi-final and assisted in the final when he was 16. So everything he's doing is just impressive. Even when he goes and sits down to hold the press conference on his own before the game, he even look impressive there, I would say. But at the same time, I mean, for all the dominance that Barca can have in a game, because for all the style of play, that high line, that high press will always give you a chance. I mean, over the last 6 games that Barca play across all competitions, they have conceded 12 goals. Barca can suffocate the opponents, but as soon as the opponent, in this case Inter, and it happened in Montjuic, managed to break through that high line, then a full new world starts in front of them for the opposition. At the same time, who cares about that when you have a team that can score 91 goals in 34 games in La Liga, or 40 goals in Champions League in 13 matches? It's just ridiculous. But I see much more parity than the bookies are telling us, than the odds are showing, to be honest. And also, I will add to the mix of what Alain was saying, that night in Dortmund, because I had the feeling, yes, it's true, Pedri did not start that game. He came on the second half and things look a little bit better for Barca. And Pedri, as much as we talk about Lamine, Pedri is crucial in this team. For Lamal to do what he does, you need someone in midfield to rule the world, and that one is Pedri. And that game with Dortmund, I felt that this Barcelona felt that pressure, and when the game was 3-1, Julian Brandt was close to score the 4th one with 15 minutes to go, and you never know what could have happened that night if Brandt makes it 4-1. And San Siro is gonna be on fire on Tuesday. Absolutely, that's gonna play on Inter's hand. I was talking about this high line, and someone who again can break that high line. That is Denzel Dumfries. I mean, he wasn't starting for 8 games. He did it in Montjuic. I mean, I thought personally that Inzaghi was going to play Matteo Darmian, a little bit more conservative choice, and he put Dumfries back from injury. He scored twice, assisted another one. He's the 3rd goal scorer in the team, behind Lautaro and Thuram. And talking about Thuram, what a beautiful goal he scored, but we cannot even remember that, or it's not the first thing that comes into our mind, because of the way that Barca played that first half, and because of the way that Lamine Yamal especially played. 3 defenders, or more than defenders, 3 players from Inter trying to stop him every time in the first half. Lautaro Martinez won't be playing. Same goes for Koundé.
No, Leo? There are doubts, because
there are doubts. Yes, maybe he's gonna make it to the bench, Edu, but and if needed, they're gonna throw him on the pitch. But they won't be playing from the start. I will be very surprised, even though yes, they're saying he's in doubt. But I know, or I believe Lautaro will do everything to play. He's dying as well to win this competition with Inter. I agree with Alain that this is becoming an obsession for Inter, as much as it was an obsession for Manchester City before they won that final actually against Inter. We need to see if Balde and Lewandowski are going to be back. There are 2 who probably could be at least in the squad. Let's remember, Barcelona finished the match with 4 central defenders at the back. Araujo, 𝗀𝗵cie, Christensen, and Inigo Martinez playing as a left back in Montjuic the last 20 minutes or so. One that is back, and it will be interesting. After 8 months, it was Mark ter Stegen on the weekend. Is he going to play ahead of Chesney? There you go. You know, I was saying Fabianski in my mind of Chesney. Well, I mean, Chesney have played all the games since January. I think Chesney cannot sit in the same table than ter Stegen, but of course 8 months is a lot of time. I will go again, as much as the odds are putting Barca as the favorite for a long way. I don't see it that way. Dortmund is playing in my mind as well. I want to see how Barca is going to do in San Siro. to find the value in the goals market, we need to go above goals over 3, and that is going to be hovering around 1.6. My take, anyway, is the same than Alain. I think the odds on the double chance for Inter are very, very interesting. Double chance Inter 1.7. I will take it all the way.
Well, you both
yes, and I can add something. Barca have a big challenge, and is won a strong Champions League playoff game away, because in the last 10 years, Barca away is probably the worst 10 years away, because when we remember Roma against Roma, Liverpool, Barca away suffer a lot, and is another challenge, and there will be play in one of the most hardest field in Europe, actually.
Actually, probably the last good memory for Barcelona away in the Champions League is that goal scored by Iniesta in Stamford Bridge. With, 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝐿, the famous one with Ballack eating the referee. By the way, also 𝗀𝗵𝐿 is out of the game. Is another important absentee, because Araujo is not playing great, not as a right back, not as a defender, as a central back. So there are some problems in Barcelona's defense. What a game. You both guys agree with the Inter double chance? Let me know in the comments if you are backing Inter or Barcelona. On Wednesday, everything looks much easier for the team that is going to be in the final, at least. I'm talking about PSG, Arsenal. Great result at the Emirates from PSG, taking the lead very early with Dembélé scoring. 𝗀𝗵𝗄, we highlighted his name, also a very important one, but also Donnarumma, because Arsenal had some chances. The Italian goalkeeper is also making his best in the Champions League, but perhaps we can agree on PSG being the best team in Europe so far. They've beaten every single English team in this Champions League, and they've played great at the Parc des Princes. It's true that Liverpool or Atletico Madrid won in Paris, but they didn't deserve it. And Leo, if PSG play as good as they did against Aston Villa or Liverpool at home, they shouldn't have any problems to knock out Arsenal, although also we saw a great Arsenal at the Bernabeu, for instance, with a lot of character.
Yes, but even if PSG plays the way they played the first half at the Emirates last week, Arsenal won't have a chance. Look at I was at the Emirates in October when Arsenal won 2-0, and last week with when Paris won 1-0 away. And it's amazing what a difference 7 months can make. I remember in October, Arsenal played a magnificent game. Magnificent, the intensity, the press. They dominated PSG all match. Havertz was the number 9 and scored. Saka was the MVP. And for Paris, the Donnarumma was there. The back four was the same as last week. Vitinha never started the game, even the way started the game. But 7 months after, everything looks completely different. Even this press that I just mentioned, they pressed from the start at the Emirates. Arsenal could not build from the back, and having Dembele as a false 9 was impossible to solve for Arsenal. All the first half, the same movement. Donnarumma to Pacho to Mendes, who was like dropping very, very, very deep, almost at the same height than Pacho. Kvaratskhelia, who played an amazing game, and show that he's not Mbappe, but he's able to do the things that Mbappe was not willing to do for Luis Enrique, which is to track back as much or as many times as they need with the right back from the opposition. And he's done the same, or he's done that against Timber. And also, when you look at Timber in the Premier League or even in Europe so far, it was very difficult for anyone to hold the ball against him. And 𝗀𝗏 has done that amazingly, opening a huge space in the middle for Dembélé to drop. And that is how they scored the first goal. Dembélé dropping in midfield, opening to 𝗀𝗏 cross it back, and Dembélé shooting on goal. Then Barcola 2 times, Gonzalo Ramos in the second half. They could have absolutely finished the tie. Yes, Donnarumma, you mentioned, was outstanding, especially that finger toe that he saved against Trossard in the second half. A friend of mine was telling me, yeah, but we still haven't seen Donnarumma's blooper. You know, we always get one at least in the competition from him or Marquinhos. I don't know if they are saving a mistake for the semi-final or for the final, but it's true that that did not happen because in Anfield he was amazing during the 120 minutes and in the penalties against Aston Villa, outstanding second half performance from Donnarumma, and in London again he saved against Martinelli and against Leandro Trossard. And then you have the question of Odegaard. I don't know how Alain sees that, but I mean, we had the great night of Rice, yes, against Real Madrid. Saka provided great nights for Arsenal, but I'm still missing the big night from Odegaard. What is good for Arsenal is that Thomas Partey is going to be back, and that is crucial because without Partey, many things have changed in the first leg. Declan Rice needed to be the defensive pivot when he's been growing into that position of box-to-box midfielder or midfielder who plays everywhere as he wishes. On Saturday, with Partey in the team against Bournemouth, he scored as a number 9 with a beautiful movement. He could do the same that Merino is doing if Arteta needed Rice in that position. And with Partey not playing, Merino needed to play also in midfield. And Leandro Trossard as false number 9 is not good. It's not the same. The biggest problem for Arsenal, I would say, is like when you look at the bench. That is a big problem. Sterling, Zinchenko, White, 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜, two teenagers plus the 2 goalkeepers. That was the bench at the Emirates against PSG. To be honest, that is not a bench that looks like a Champions League semi-finalist. That's, to be honest, yes, a team that could be a very strong 11, but then be careful, and it's different with Paris, who come through Barcola, even Gonzalo Ramos, and so on, Lucas Hernandez. So even though I think Arsenal is going to do better on Wednesday, PSG for me the favorite. The odds for them to win are good, and I'm taking them. PSG to win, odds of 2.1.
Yeah, actually the odds are kind of high, I would say, for PSG to win at home. Both teams lost at the weekend, but we shouldn't take these games in the national leagues in consideration. Alain, you also like these odds for PSG?
Yes, it's favorite right now. Now we can ask us how PSG will be managed, or if he has the skill to manage this advantage, because he's a young team. In the first leg, we saw a team, especially in the midfield, a perfect symphonia. Yeah. In the movement, in the moment when they choose to go to press, because they can change the line of there will be press. Sometimes there will be go with 5-6 players in opposite camp, and not a lot of teams do that. But it was the key, because Arsenal, for the wing, they don't have player give deepness. Arsenal is very good in the central way of the field, and when Odegaard is not there, like Leo said, and when Thomas Partey is not there, because Thomas Partey in ball conduction can break the line, can give anarchy to the game. And Arsenal in this game, in no moment, zero moment, I see Arsenal have the skills to change the rhythm of the game, and that one is a key against Paris Saint-Germain. And we saw that against Aston Villa, because Aston Villa is a really powerful team, no? And have the capacity to change the rhythm of the game. It's not an academic team. We saw maybe a so much academic Arsenal. Maybe the team was scared. Maybe the team suffered the player out, because in every line Arsenal have key player out for this game. Havertz, Gabriel Jesus. In the attack, in the midfield, Thomas Partey. In the defense, Calafiori. Is heavy to have that type of players out for a team like Arsenal. Now, Paris Saint-Germain, right now, the midfield is the key. The midfield is the key. The 2-player Portuguese with Ruiz I am impressed with the results. And after, we have the winger working a lot. And that one, when do you see Paris Saint-Germain have that skills to change the level of the line of the defense, is amazing. Is amazing the working with the midfield and with the winger. PSG can be defended with 9 players, and that one is the key, because you have a lot of density in spite of that, Arsenal create some chance, but miss some aggressivity in the area, and there must to recover that, because Arsenal will be great in Parc des Princes. PSG concede something always. We saw in Villa Park too. In Villa Park there was really near to go to the extra time, and sincerely, if Aston Villa scored another goal, in my opinion, Aston Villa will be passed this day. And now Arsenal must to try to put the difficulty to Paris, because Paris in the last 10 years in Champions League, the record is bad for Paris Saint-Germain. A lot of bad records, no? When they won the first leg and they go out when nobody thinking. I refer that a special quarter of final against Manchester United when they won 2-0 in England and they lose 3-1 in Paris, and maybe that one can be an handicap in the French team. In spite of that, I think we will see more goals in this game. In the second half, probably Arsenal needed to take a risk. Arsenal will be concede space, and PSG feel really comfortable. For that reason, I choose over 1.75 goals in the second half, odds 2.26.
Very interesting also what you said, Alain, about how to manage the expectations, the favoritism, a team or a club that struggled in the past, in the previous seasons, that they have also the obsession of winning the Champions League with all the Qatari investment that they've done in the last years, and just recently how they were shaky in Villa Park when they had a big advantage against Aston Villa. But of course, looks like another PSG, much more team effort than individualities. That this is what they had in the past. Well, great semi-final, just one step away from the final in Munich. So, as always, guys, you can post your tips in Oddspedia and win some cash prizes, or participate also in Rivals and create your own tipster competitions. It's very tough. The odds are not easy in these semi-finals, but let's look at the safe bets before we say goodbye. 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲?
Inter, Barça, both teams to score yes, 1.4.
Alain?
Inter Barça under 4.25 goals, odds 1.35.
And the ACCA, Alain?
Inter Barça under 3.75 goals, PSG Arsenal both teams to score, odds 2.56.
Funny that you don't see many goals in the Inter Barcelona game. Leo?
The same as I use for safe bet. Inter Barça both teams to score yes, and PSG to win. These two combined, also 2.94.
By the way, it could be a great week for the Inzaghi family, no? If Pippo Inzaghi is promoting Pisa and Simone Inzaghi put Inter in the final, I'm sure it's going to be a very happy family.
But Pippo Inzaghi go on, is probably one of the best manager in Serie B, but in Serie A he still have problem. We'll be checked the next season if Pisa can be saved the category.
Their promotion, I read, for Inzaghi to Serie A and one to Serie B. So congratulations. Well, guys, we will talk about Simone and Pippo Inzaghi, Leo, in our Serie A video as well. Thank you. Good luck. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.